Well, perhaps a very useful thing to begin with is the establishment of your line.
Okay, the line came together quite accidentally. We decided that we wanted to get a show dog, and we had Glenn Twyford, who was very helpful to us, and who sold us a blue male, Wind Calls Gunsmoke, who had had one major, and he shipped him to us. We showed the dog, the very first show that we showed him was in Baltimore, and we were competing against a very famous dog, Noego's Ricochet, who was a champion. Ed Myers was the judge. We had no show experience. Jack Warren, our handler, showed Gunner, and we went winner's dog and best of winners. This was a major, and the dog was finished, first show. But we were very upset and very disappointed because the champion beat us for the breed, and we felt like we had lost. So since then we learned that this was great. The next thing that happened is we bred Gunsmoke to a female that we had, and we produced a beautiful litter, and out of this litter we got our first homebred champion, Champion Achilles Blue Aspiration. Glenn Twyford, who we had become very friendly with, had asked us if he could send a dog east because there were no majors, and if we would finish him for you, I could come out to Denver and pick out any dog that I liked from his dogs. He sent us, who subsequently became champion, Wind Calls Wacoon, who we finished and sent back to Glenn. At Christmas time, when I had vacation, Glenn invited me to come up to Denver. Glenn had a big old turkey farm that he lived on with large barns and very, very interesting research things like hamsters of any color, that he was color breeding like collies. It was a very educational and wonderful experience. Glenn really was our mentor. Glenn likes to sleep late, and I'm an early riser. So early in the morning, I got up while Glenn was still asleep, and I went into the large barn where Glenn had many, many dogs. I sat quietly and just watched them. They were not that used to people, but they were friendly but distant. I saw a tricolor, 6 months old tricolor female that caught my eye, and I finally got her to come to me, and I put on a collar and a leash, and I took her out and played with her and leash broke her in the driveway. When Glenn woke up, I told him that I really liked that little tri-bitch. And Glenn said, "Look, John, you can get somebody older and somebody more advanced from me. You don't have to just take a 6 months old puppy." And I said, "No, I'm very happy, Glenn. I'd like to take this puppy." And subsequently, I took her, and that became Champion Wind Calls Tar and Feathers, who was one of the foundation bitches of our kennel. Glenn Twyford's dogs basically were Tocalan, if you wanted to know the bloodline. Jack Warren, who was handling for us at the time, told us that a lady by the name of Shirley Blanton had a wonderful dog, Champion Windswept Domino Jack, who was at that point 5 years old and not in excellent condition, and she wanted to sell him. We went to see him, and there was this magnificent dog in terrible condition, skin and bone, dull coat, but there was no overlooking the quality of the dog. We bought the dog, and it took us close to a year to get the dog into condition with hookworm, whipworm, and whatever else you can think of. He came into magnificent condition and coat. He was a cross between Tocalan and Sterling. We subsequently showed the dog, and the dog became one of the top winners, which I'm sure we'll discuss later. He won against large competition at the Garden and many other very important shows. We went to Collie Club of Long Island to a specialty, and there was a lady there who had a son of Domino Jack's bred to his mother. It was a small dog, a small edition of Domino Jack, beautiful expression. The dog was windswept renegade. She told us that the dog didn't want to live, he wouldn't eat, he wouldn't do this. So we said, fine, would you like to sell the dog? She says, well, I paid $100 for him, but I'm going to put him to sleep. I said, please don't put him to sleep, here's $100, and I took him home. Subsequently, it took us again quite a number of months to get him rid of all his worms. The dog became a wonderful outgoing dog, a terrific eater, and actually was very, very valuable to us in breeding because he was really very inbred Domino Jack. A little later, we met a wonderful lady, Priscilla Alden, from Stonykerk, and subsequently we were very fortunate. She sold us Stonykerk Reflection. Champion Stonykerk Reflection became one of the top winning dogs, a dog that we had an awful lot of fun with. He won about 12 best in shows, 2 of which were national specialties, 1 of which he won with his daughter, Champion Male Line Welcome Reflection, and I think Evelyn will talk about that later again when we get to shows. So basically, our line came together from Tocallan, Sterling, and Aachen. Priscilla's dogs were very heavily Aachen. Altogether, then we bred from all of these dogs, and that is where our line developed. Basically, as far as I'm concerned, Aachen was the start of most of the lines, and actually Tocallan was Mrs. Browning's selection, or Glenn's selection, of Aachen-type dogs that they bred. And Ed Pickard, who had Sterling, basically selected what he liked also from Aachen. So actually, there aren't as many bloodlines as people make believe because they all draw together. That is basically how we started and how we kept going. And subsequently, we had about approximately 17 champions. We never showed that much, and of which about 8 or 9 were homebred, and the balance were dogs that we had bought for foundation purposes. That basically is how our line got together.